Energy that detaches wins. Carl Jung knew this. He saw what most never see, that the real power doesn't come from grasping or controlling, but from something far more invisible. Something that changes how life responds to you without you lifting a finger. But why does letting go create such a shift in reality? And what exactly was Jung pointing to that we've all been missing? Stay with this, because once you understand the real reason behind this truth, you'll never chase anything the same way again. There's an ancient energetic paradox that defies the logic of the ego. The more you chase, the more reality slips away. But the moment you detach, truly let go, life begins to magnetize toward you. This isn't apathy or passivity, it's alignment. Carl Jung understood that our energy speaks louder than our words or actions, and when our energy vibrates in freedom rather than need, the quantum field responds with precision. People, opportunities, even moments of luck, they begin to emerge, not because you hunted them, but because you stopped resisting their natural flow. Jung often spoke of individuation, the path of becoming whole. At the heart of this process is emotional autonomy, the ability to observe without grasping, to desire without demanding. This form of inner stillness creates a space for reality to move toward you. It's not about giving up the goal, but giving up the grip. When you release the obsession, you stop sending the frequency of lack, and the universe, which mirrors your dominant vibration, responds with abundance. This is the subtle frequency shift that changes everything. It's the shift from "I need this" to "I am already enough." That inner declaration has immense power. It emits a signal of wholeness, and wholeness is magnetic. Imagine the difference between someone radiating completeness versus someone radiating emptiness. Which one are you drawn to? Jung would argue that your unconscious already knows the answer. Modern science supports this truth in the language of the observer effect. The more anxiously we observe for outcomes, the more we collapse the wave of potential into unwanted realities. But when we observe with neutrality, with presence and faith, we allow the highest potentials to unfold. Detachment, then, isn't emotional numbness. It's vibrational mastery. This is the great secret. True power doesn't come from force, it comes from resonance. And the detached individual is resonating with something most can't even see, the energy of trust, of self-sovereignty, of alignment with the quantum dance of life. Carl Jung knew this wasn't just philosophy, it was transformation. Carl Jung introduced the world to the shadow, the unconscious parts of ourselves we suppress, deny, or disown. But few realize that these hidden aspects don't just live in the psyche, they entangle energetically. Every time we emotionally attach to someone or something from a place of unhealed need, we form what esoteric traditions call cords, invisible threads of psychic connection that drain energy and distort reality. Jung's work on confronting the shadow was not just about self-awareness, it was about reclaiming power and cutting the unconscious cords that control us. When we fail to face the shadow, it hijacks our desires. We think we're pursuing love, purpose, success, but what we're really doing is trying to fill an internal void. That's why the more we chase, the emptier we feel. The solution isn't more effort, it's inner excavation. Jung believed that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will rule our lives, and we'll call it fate. This is why detachment is impossible without shadow work, because what we're attached to is rarely the thing itself. It's the unresolved story beneath it. Emotional cord cutting, then, is not just a New Age ritual, it's an alchemical act of self-liberation. It begins when you ask, why do I need this so much? And then, what part of me is still unloved, unheard, unseen? The answers lie in the shadows. And when you bring awareness to those shadows, you begin to dissolve the energetic glue keeping you stuck. Jung's methods, dream interpretation, active imagination, dialoguing with inner figures, were all designed to expose the roots of our attachments. This process isn't comfortable. The ego resists. It will fight to preserve its story of who you are and what you must have to be okay. But the moment you see through the illusion that you are already whole, already free, the cords begin to dissolve. You no longer operate from compulsion. You choose from clarity. And that's the power of detachment. It's not rejection, it's redirection, from unconscious bondage to conscious sovereignty. So if you feel overly entangled, ask yourself, is this connection serving my expansion or feeding my fear? Jung would invite you not to cut the cord in anger, but to transform it with love, to reclaim your energy not through resistance, but through radical inner seeing. That's how true detachment begins, from the inside out. Letting go is not an act of giving up. It's an energetic recalibration, a return to your own center of gravity. Most people think detachment means losing something, but in truth, it's the sacred art of no longer leaking your frequency. Carl Jung understood that when a person stops outsourcing their emotional state to external events, they enter a new level of consciousness, energetic sovereignty. In that state, you are no longer reacting, you are creating. Everything in your life is a reflection of what you're energetically tuned to. Cling to someone or something, and you tune into the vibration of dependency, which is fear-based. Release that grip, and you start vibrating at freedom, which aligns with trust, love, and higher intelligence. The universe isn't responding to what you say you want. It's responding to what you are in resonance with. Letting go shifts that resonance from scarcity to sufficiency. Sovereignty means your energy is not for sale. It's not manipulated by someone's attention, absence, praise, or rejection. It is grounded in inner truth. That doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't collapse. And this kind of energetic center is magnetic. People feel it, life recognizes it. Jung might say it's when the self, the deeper archetype beyond ego, starts to emerge in your field, and the self doesn't grasp, it emanates. Letting go, then, is a frequency. It's a state of being that says, I trust what is meant for me cannot miss me, and what is not meant for me will fall away for my highest good. That belief alone begins to reorganize your timeline. Instead of trying to control, you co-create. Instead of attachment, you experience alignment, and alignment doesn't just feel better, it performs better in every dimension of life. This is why those who master detachment often seem so lucky. They've stopped entangling themselves with outcomes and started aligning with their own essence. Their vibration becomes clean, undiluted, coherent, and in that coherence the universe flows more smoothly. Carl Jung didn't just hint at this energetically, he lived it psychologically. Sovereignty, to him, was not an abstract idea, it was the goal of the soul's evolution. The ego clings, it needs validation, control, certainty. It's programmed to survive, to prove, to possess. But the soul flows, it trusts, it knows. And this is where the great inner war unfolds, between the part of you that grasps and the part of you that already is. Carl Jung's work consistently illuminated this split. He understood that our suffering often stems from identifying too deeply with the ego's narrative and forgetting the soul's timeless perspective. Attachment is the ego's currency. It attaches to outcomes, people, images, achievements, not out of malice, but fear. The fear of being nothing, the fear of being unseen, the fear of the unknown. And so it builds walls of identity, but those walls become prisons. The more you define yourself by what you own or who loves you, the more fragile your peace becomes. Jung believed that the individuation process, the journey to wholeness, was about dissolving these false identities and aligning with the deeper self. The soul operates from a different dimension. It doesn't need to chase because it knows it's always connected to source. It doesn't panic in uncertainty because it sees beyond linear time. It seeks expression, not possession. So when you detach, you are not becoming cold, you are becoming soulful. You are stepping out of the ego's survival game and into the soul's creative field. That shift is liberation. But this isn't an instant process. The ego will resist. It will whisper that you're losing something vital. It will tempt you to reattach, to control, to cling. Yet every time you choose presence over panic, silence over scrambling, trust over tension, the soul gets stronger. And as Jung often taught, the task is not to kill the ego, but to integrate it, to let it serve the self rather than rule over it. This is the inner alchemy, transforming attachment into awareness, not suppressing desire but refining it, not escaping the human experience but elevating it. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring, it means you stop needing. And in that space, something holy emerges, a freedom not granted by circumstance, but claimed from within. The subconscious mind is a mirror, not a negotiator. It doesn't argue with you. It simply amplifies what you repeat, especially what you cling to with emotional charge. Carl Jung revealed that the subconscious is not just a personal repository, but a dynamic gateway to archetypes, patterns, and hidden scripts. What you emotionally obsess over, even if silently, becomes the dominant code it runs. And that's why detachment is so powerful. It interrupts the loop. Clinging is not just mental, it's energetic. When you fixate on a person, a problem, or an outcome, your subconscious reads that as your primary emotional environment. And the subconscious is always listening. It assumes, this is what we care about. This is what we need. This is our frequency. And so it recreates more of it. You're not manifesting from thought alone. You're manifesting from the vibrational imprint of your emotional attachments. Detachment breaks this cycle. It says to the subconscious, we're safe. We don't need this to feel whole. That safety signal rewires the emotional baseline. It relaxes the nervous system, and in that calm, the subconscious opens. It becomes receptive to new possibilities, ones that aren't distorted by fear or obsession. Jung would call this the integration of unconscious material, when the shadow no longer hijacks the show. This is why people notice miracles when they finally stop trying so hard. It's not coincidence. It's energetic reprogramming. The moment you release the desperate grip, your subconscious shifts focus. It begins to resonate with new scripts, new archetypes. The anxious child becomes the grounded adult. The wounded lover becomes the sovereign being. It's not that the external world changes first, it's that the internal operating system does. So ask yourself, what am I emotionally rehearsing? What energy am I feeding every day? Is it lack or is it freedom? Carl Jung's genius was in showing us that the subconscious is not a curse, it's a servant, but it takes its orders through frequency. Detachment is how you update the code, and when the code changes, your reality follows. Carl Jung coined the term synchronicity to describe those magical, meaningful coincidences that seem to align with our inner state. But here's the hidden key. Synchronicities don't come from force. They come from flow. They appear when the psyche is no longer in resistance, when you surrender not as defeat but as deep trust. The invisible gears of the universe begin to turn in your favor. Detachment, in this light, is the doorway to the extraordinary. The more tightly we grip, the more we block the unexpected pathways life wants to reveal. The need to control narrows perception, while surrender expands it. Jung believed that synchronicity was a sign the unconscious and the external world were in harmony, a resonance between your inner frequency and outer events. But that harmony can't happen when we're broadcasting fear. Fear distorts the signal. Faith refines it. Surrender is not passive. It is highly active, but the activity happens within. It's the decision to release tension in the body, doubt in the mind, and attachment in the heart. It's the courage to trust an unseen order, to let go of the how and align with the why. When you do this, synchronicities multiply. You meet the right person. The phone rings at the perfect moment. A door opens that logic never predicted. What Jung pointed to was that reality responds to inner coherence. When your energy is calm, aligned, detached from desperate outcomes, life becomes responsive, almost alive. It's as if the universe is waiting for you to stop pushing so it can start dancing. And the moment you let go of the script you were clinging to, a more beautiful one can unfold, effortlessly. So the next time something feels stuck, don't just push harder. Pause. Ask yourself, am I forcing this from fear or allowing it from trust? That question alone can shift your frequency. And in that shift, synchronicities begin to appear, not because you chased them, but because you aligned with the frequency where they live. That's the power of surrender. That's the magic Jung understood. In the realm of quantum physics, there's a startling truth. The act of observing influences the outcome. This is known as the observer effect. The idea that conscious attention collapses a field of infinite potentials into one concrete reality. But few realize how this principle mirrors the energetic laws Jung alluded to in psychology. When you're emotionally attached to an outcome, you're not just observing, you're interfering. You're energetically entangling with a single possibility, often driven by fear, and thus collapsing it into limitation. Detachment from a quantum standpoint is not disengagement, it's spacious awareness. It's holding the field open. It's allowing potentials to remain fluid, flexible, and aligned with higher intelligence. When you detach, you're not withdrawing your power, you're amplifying it, because you're no longer distorting the field with your unresolved emotions or subconscious fear. You become a neutral observer, and neutrality in energy is power. Carl Jung understood that the psyche itself was a kind of energetic interface with reality. Our unconscious projections color what we perceive, and those projections are often born from attachment, the inner scripts that say, I must have this to be okay. But when you dissolve that need, you stop collapsing low-frequency timelines. You start interacting with life more like an artist than a victim, painting with presence, not panic. In the quantum field, every possibility already exists. The question is, what vibration are you tuned to? When you're detached, you tune into the field of highest alignment, because you're no longer filtering through fear. You're letting life surprise you, upgrade you, exceed your ego's small plans. This is the true power of conscious creation, influencing reality not by force, but by frequency. So next time you're about to overthink, chase, or grasp, remember the observer effect. Your attention is creative. Where it goes, energy flows. But if that attention is soaked in lack, it distorts. If it's infused with trust, it liberates. Detachment is the art of observing with love, without control. And in that space, miracles manifest. Detachment is often misunderstood as coldness or disconnection, but true non-attachment is anything but numb. It's aliveness without addiction, engagement without entanglement. Carl Jung would have called this the state of psychological wholeness, where the ego no longer demands, but the soul deeply participates. It's the art of holding life lightly while loving it fully, not needing it to go a certain way, but meeting it fully as it is. To embody detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care from a place of fullness, not fear. You feel deeply, but you're not ruled by emotion. You dream boldly, but you're not crushed by outcomes. You love completely, but without possession. This is energetic mastery, when your frequency is anchored internally, not dependent on external feedback. Jung's idea of the self was just that, the part of you that is unshakable, eternal, beyond roles. But how do you live this in a world that teaches grasping? You begin by bringing awareness into the body. Every time you feel tightness, urgency, or emotional panic, pause, breathe, reground. These signals are often not about the present moment, but past wounds. Detachment starts by not abandoning yourself in those moments. As you stay present, you reclaim your energy. And the more you do this, the more your nervous system begins to trust you. You become your own safe space. From this grounded state, life becomes more fluid. You're open to possibilities, not just plans. You find joy in the now, not just in the next. You can hold desires like open hands, firm in intention, soft in expectation. This is the frequency where manifestation thrives, because you're no longer demanding reality prove your worth. You're expressing worth through your vibration. Carl Jung might have said that the end of attachment is not detachment, it's integration. When you become whole within, you don't need to cling to the outside. And that's when the outside begins to respond with grace. Embodied non-attachment is the dance of the awakened soul, fully alive, deeply rooted, endlessly free. The moment you stop clinging, you reclaim your field. Carl Jung wasn't teaching detachment to escape life. He was showing us how to master it. When you no longer project your power onto people, outcomes, or validation, something incredible happens. Your energy returns to you. And in that return, you become magnetic. Not by force, but by frequency. Detachment is not the end of desire. It's the beginning of conscious creation. So the next time you feel the urge to grip tightly, pause, breathe. Remember, the energy that detaches wins. If this message activated something within you, like this video, and subscribe to the Cosmic Awakening channel, because your awakening has only just begun.